Today, we're talking about something everyone says that they want, but most people are doing completely wrong. We're going to talk about boundaries. Now, welcome to With Karen D, the podcast. If you're brand new to my channel and my podcast, I want you to I want you to subscribe, I want you to comment, because this podcast is based on the premise that good things don't come to those who wait. Good things come to those who go out and get it. This is about action. This is for you if you want to show up in your life in a different way, possibly a more powerful or confident way, but you need some tools, some strategies, techniques to help you do it. If you haven't already done so, I want you to subscribe to my channel because I have some amazing episodes where we talk about why you should not be matching people's energy. We also talk about confidence, how you can show up with increased confidence, even if you're an introvert. We talk about not fitting in or not fitting someone else's mold, even with, struggle with talking up, showing up, managing your nervous system. We talk about it all. It's all about real talk. I don't do the fluffy thing. So if you're not subscribed, this is my quick plug. Make sure to subscribe now so you can get the notifications when we drop new episodes. I hear it all the time. I need better boundaries. I wish people respected my boundaries. They keep crossing my boundaries. And here's the real conversation. Most people don't have a boundary problem. They have a boundary maintenance problem because they are expecting other people to uphold their boundaries instead of enforcing it themselves. So let me say this again so it lands. You are 100% responsible for maintaining your boundaries, not your boss, not your partner, not your friend, not your family, not your mom, not that testy cousin, family member, you. So today, I want to give you this powerhouse blueprint that I have. It's a simple 4 steps to help you create and maintain healthy, clear, and solid boundaries in every single area of your life. And these are not the fluffy tips you see online. These are the real shifts that actually work. So let's get straight into it. Here's the truth about boundaries in general. A boundary is not controlling someone else's behavior. I'm going to say it again for those of you in the back. A boundary is not about controlling someone else's behavior. It's not about telling people what they can or can't do. And it's not hoping people read your mind. I know that rings true for a lot of people listening or watching. A boundary is a standard for what you will and will not participate in or accept. It's about your behavior. It's about your choices. It's about your responses. And here's how it really works. You don't control people. That's not what a boundary is. You control access to you. And if you don't enforce that access to you, people will continue to treat you in a way that matches what you tolerate. And my friend, that's not them being mean or them being terrible or them not caring. That's them responding to the access that you're giving them. We teach people how to treat us. It's never about them, and no one wants to hear this. People treat us based on what we tolerate. So now's your time to set some healthy boundaries, and we're going to talk about exactly what you need to do if that's what you want for yourself in your life right now. I call it my 4-step power blueprint for boundaries. So let's jump into it. Here's power step number 1. You have to decide what your standards are before that exact moment and before you're in that situation. Because most people try to create boundaries literally in the moment, when they're already triggered, when they're already mad or emotional, or when they're already frustrated out of the yin yang. But my friend, that's too late. You can't build boundaries in that exact moment. You can't build boundaries when you're in reaction mode. Boundaries are built in the decisions that you make for yourself beforehand. You need to decide things in advance. What will you say yes to? What will you say no to? How do you expect to be treated? Like, what behavior will you not tolerate, or what behavior will you not engage with? Most important, when will you walk away to preserve your wellness and mental health? Here are some examples. I don't respond to work messages, emails, texts after 6 o'clock or after I log out. Or I don't tolerate to yelling in conversations. Another one, I don't lend money to friends. Or I don't say yes to things I genuinely don't want to do. That clarity needs to exist before you are in the situation. Because if you wait until you're in the midst of it, that crux of it, you'll negotiate with yourself and you will lose. You'll say something like this. You'll say, maybe next time. You'll tell yourself, if they ever speak to me again, I'm going to say this and I'll speak up. Guess what? They will do it again because you didn't shut it down the first time. So they believe this is normal and they believe that you're fine with it simply based on how you showed up. You allowed them to. You did that. You have to decide on what your standards are before you're in the moment. So take time to decide on what you will and won't tolerate. Here's power step number 2. Communicate your boundary once, clearly, in a manner that's calm and without over-explaining yourself. Because here's where people get it completely wrong. They verbally say their boundary, then they over-explain, then they over-justify, or they soften their language so it doesn't offend, or they jump into apologizing for their boundary. My friend, you do not need a speech. You don't owe anyone an explanation as to why you need peace in your life. You simply need one clear sentence. That's it. Example. You know what? I'm not available for that if someone asks you something. Or if you're at work, I won't be able to take that on. Or keep it simple. That doesn't work for me. Or I'm not comfortable with that. And then you stop talking. That's the real work. Stop talking. It's going to be hard because we are so used to going into explanation mode. No more words after you've stated your boundary. Silence is a part of the confident communication equation. When you over-explain yourself, you invite negotiation. You open up that whole conversation or interaction for the back and forth. And your boundaries are not negotiations. Got it? Power step number 3. Enforce your boundaries with behavior, not your emotions. I'll say it again. Enforce your boundaries with your behavior, not your emotions. And here's the part a lot of people avoid. They'll say the boundary, nice and bold, right? I don't want you to XYZ. I'm not going to tolerate that. I'm not coming. But they don't want to enforce that boundary. They'll say, hey, I don't like that. Hey, I'd prefer if you didn't do that. And then when the person does it again, they stay. They answer. They respond. They do that back and forth. They engage. So what did you teach that person? You teach that person in that moment that your boundary is optional, that your boundary isn't even serious. You're not even taking it seriously. So why should they? Why should they? So let me be clear. A boundary without enforcement is just a preference. And people will always push on your preferences. Now, when I say enforcement, let me give you the caveat. It does not mean yelling. It does not mean being overly dramatic. It does not mean creating conflict, or it doesn't even mean a blow up. It means you being responsible for changing your behavior. You said you don't respond to work messages after 7 p.m. That's your new boundary. So when a message comes in at 9 p.m., you do not answer. You respond the next morning. Don't come and talk about, your boss doesn't respect you. Are you respecting yourself? That's the question. You said you don't tolerate disrespect in conversations. So when someone starts raising their voice, you say something like this: let's continue this conversation when we can both speak calmly. And then you remove yourself. That is your responsibility, not someone else's. Stop leaving it up to other people to maintain your boundaries. You're responsible for it. You said you don't say yes to things that you don't want to do. So when someone asks you for something that drains you, when someone asks you, like, you get that rise in your chest, you have to say no. And I want you to let the discomfort be there, because I promise you, the first time it will be super uncomfortable. But you either sit in the discomfort knowing that you're honoring yourself, or you let people treat you how they want to treat you, which simply equates to you having no boundaries at all. That is enforcement. Changing your behavior is enforcement. The key thing is to be calm, consistent, and clear. And please remove the drama. Power step number 4. Expect pushback, and you do not bend and do not fold. When you start to set boundaries, people will test them all of the time. And they're not going to test it because they're bad people. They're not going to test it because they're mean people. They're going to test it because you've trained them to treat you in a certain way. If you've always said yes, they're going to expect yes again. Why not? I remember when I was sitting at senior tables. I was a senior health partnership specialist for a health organization, a large health organization here in Ontario. And I used to attend these meetings, an attendee at these senior tables. And for some reason, I don't even know why, I started to come in with that coffee, what do they call it? I can't remember the name of it. In the box, the portable coffee thing, and the cream and sugar. That's how I used to attend these meetings. But I was a member at this table. And yes, there was an administrative assistant. And I remember my boss at one time saying, why are you bringing the coffee when we're not hosting the meeting and they have an admin person? And I had to literally check myself in that moment. I was being a corporate housewife. Like, that's what I call it now. I don't know. I didn't call it that back then, but that's what was happening. I was doing housewife duties at work when I was a member of this meeting, a member at this table, this senior table, right? And the thing about it is, I thought I was being polite, right? And then, after my boss said it to me, I had to stop it because she was correct. That's not my responsibility. So when I showed up to the next meeting without the coffee, everyone was looking around and asking and wondering, what happened? Was I okay? Was I running late? And I had to tell them that I'm no longer doing this. Let's have the admin person do it. Now, I have to tell you, in that moment when I told them I was no longer doing it, I was having a deep conversation with myself in my own head, because I was just about to go into over explanation mode, why it shouldn't be me and why I'm an equal member at the table. But I had to stop myself, because me saying no was enough. Me saying no was me setting my boundary, and I was not looking for their approval. I had to remind myself that saying no was a full sentence and to stop talking. And that's what I mean when I say expect pushback and don't bend and don't fold. If you have always been available to people, they'll always expect your availability. And as you listen to this, I know there's people who are always planners. I know there's people who are always expected to do or bring a certain thing, whether it's in your family, or whether it's in a social circle, or whether it's at work. And I want you to pause and ask yourself this: do I really want to be doing this? Or am I doing this because people just expect it of me and I'm freaking tired of it? Now, if you're fine doing it and it doesn't bother you and it actually makes you happy, then leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Not everything needs to be shifted. For example, when we go on vacation, and I vacation a lot, and even family trips, I like to organize things. For me, it doesn't make me anxious. I don't feel overwhelmed. I don't feel like it's a burden. I enjoy it. I enjoy scouting out the spots and looking at locations and restaurants that we should eat at. So planning, man, that's mine. I love it. It's not a burden. I don't feel like people throw it on me. I love to ensure that I have a great time and the people I'm traveling with have a great time. So if that's you, and that's just my example, leave it alone. But if you're doing it out of someone else's expectation and it's something you don't want to do, now's the time to set your boundary around it. Now's the time to say no. But here's what I want you to remember, and I want you to know. When you change a pattern, they are going to, not even they might, they're going to question you. They're going to push back. Some people will even guilt you, family members. They'll make comments. They'll even test your line over and over and over again just to see if you're serious. And this is where most people bend or fold because they do not want to be uncomfortable. They don't want to be disliked. They don't want to deal with that tension that it causes when someone pushes back. So what happens? They go back to their old behavior. And then their boundary dies right there and right in that moment. My friend, you have to be willing to sit in the discomfort of someone not liking your boundary. Your choice, your new choice, is something that they're possibly not used to, but you get to set boundaries anytime you decide to. Remember, your job is not to make everyone comfortable. Your job is to be in integrity with yourself. Let me say that again. Your job is to be in integrity with yourself. And when you maintain your line, you want people to adjust. But here's what happens. They either respect your boundary or they make a choice and they reduce their access to you. Either way, both outcomes protect you, your energy. Both outcomes protect your mental health and wellness. And in short, you've set and maintained a healthy boundary for yourself. Now, let me give you some real talk and realities you'll often not hear people talk about. It's just a fact. Good, bad, in between, you get to decide. Truth number one, boundaries are often going to cost you relationships and access to some people because not everyone will like the version of you that has set your standards and decided to maintain your standards. You know, some people only like you when you're convenient. Some people only like you when you're overly agreeable. Some people will only like you when you're always available or always accommodating them. And when you stop doing that, when you stop being that person, they might pull away. And that's at times when you need to just let them because those relationships were built on you overextending yourself, not your authentic truth or you as a person and your like a full partnership or relationship. You are not here to be easy for everyone. That's not why you're put on this earth. You are here to be true to yourself, aligned with yourself. Truth number two. When it comes to setting healthy boundaries and maintaining them, it's not a one-time conversation. It's really an interpersonal shift, an identity shift, because it's not something you do once. This is who you become. You become a person who knows what they stand for, a person who knows what they will and won't engage with, a person who lives in alignment with what they say they are and who they are and how they show up. In truth, you know, sometimes I have this conversation with clients. I think the language we use because of social media, it's really heavy. Boundaries. You set my boundaries. You infringe on my boundaries, blah, 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 blah. But it's not really about boundaries. It's not you having boundaries. It's in truth, you living as someone who honors themselves. Got it? Truth number three. Boundaries will feel uncomfortable at first because you're not used to choosing yourself all of the time. This has nothing to do with being selfish. This actually has to do with being selfless. If you have spent years, months, weeks, people pleasing, over giving, over explaining yourself, being overly accommodating. I say overly accommodating. Remember, if things are okay and it makes you happy, leave things alone. But if you're overly accommodating and chasing these things, then choosing yourself is going to feel unfamiliar. And it doesn't mean that it's wrong when you feel that unfamiliarity. It means that it is new. Discomfort is not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It's a sign that you're doing something different, right? Now, I want this to land with you. I want you to make this real. So here's a few ways you can start deciding on your boundaries, setting them, and maintaining them today. Some examples for you. So with family, simply saying something like this. They're going down a path of talking about something, you answered over and over and over and over again. You get to say, no, I don't want to answer it. I remember coaching some individuals who've decided, this was a CSO, chief sales officer, and she decided for herself that marriage was not for her, nor were kids. And every time she went to a holiday party, the question was, oh, you're going to be single all your life. When are you going to have kids? When are you going to get married? Oh my goodness, you've done so much with your career and now it's time. And she was over it. And she always felt, anxious going to holiday events where she'd see family. And we just really had to support her so she could decide what her boundaries were ahead of time and be prepared to manage it when someone stepped across that line. And this is something she said with family. I'm not discussing that topic anymore. And every time they'd come and like I said, remember, when you set a boundary and start to maintain it, people will push. Not because they're being rude. Well, listen, sometimes they are being rude, but nonetheless, you get to choose how you respond. You do not owe them an explanation. So every time family asked her, she said, I'm not discussing that topic anymore. When the third person asked her the same question, she repeated it. I'm not discussing that topic anymore. When the 15th person asked her, I'm not discussing this anymore. By the time the next event came around, the next holiday event, no one was asking her that question anymore because they now realized she was serious about not responding. She no longer went into an explanation as to why she has chosen for herself to not get married nor have children. So that's just an example of what you can say to family. Remember, your role is not to explain why you want peace in your own life. Now, here's something you can say with friends. When they ask you out for they say, like, come, let's go for drinks or let's go to this movie or let's do whatever. And you're just busted. You are tired. You just want to have a weekend at home. You can simply say, I can't make it this weekend and stop talking. When they ask questions, I just can't make it this weekend. Get in the pattern, get in the practice of repeating that statement, but you have to have that pre-prepared statement. So you have to put in the work. Now let's talk about in your workplace or with clients. I don't have capacity for that right now. If someone's asking you to do something else, or even your boss, I don't have capacity for that now, right now, and stop talking. In relationships, here's something you can say. I'm not okay with being spoken to like that. And there doesn't have to be any harsh emotions around it. I want you to simply do it in this way and be this way. It needs to be short. It needs to be clear. And you need to not do the explanation tour. And then the key thing is back it up with your behavior. When you create and maintain boundaries, you gain these things for yourself. Like you gain peace, you gain your own energy back, you get clarity, like you gain self-respect. And I love this piece. When you set boundaries, you gain and you create stronger relationships because healthy people respect clarity. And people who don't respect your boundaries benefit from not having any. Let that land. People who don't respect your boundaries benefit from you not having any. Stop having them benefit from you not standing up for yourself. Got it? So here is your powerhouse boundary setting blueprint. 1, decide on your standard before the moment. What will you and won't you tolerate? 2, communicate it once in a manner that's clear and calm. 3, enforce it with your behavior. 4, expect the pushback, but you do not bend and do not fold. That is how you create boundaries that actually work. And remember, you don't teach people how to treat you with your words. You teach them how with your standards and your actions. We get to set the tone as to how people treat us. If we decide to set boundaries and maintain boundaries, and I lean into the maintaining piece more so. So as you continue to walk through your social life, your personal relationships, your work relationships, whether you're an entrepreneur, you're a stay-at-home person, you work online, or you work in the workplace, no one else is responsible for maintaining your boundaries. No one's responsible for your boundaries but you. So do the work to set them and maintain them. Thank you for being here with me on With Karen D, the podcast. And remember this: good things do not come to those who wait. Good things come to those who go out and get it. If this episode resonates with you, if as I was speaking, a few people kind of sprung in your mind, please send it to them. Copy the link and send it to them. And let me know your thoughts about boundaries, or if you have any other questions about boundaries, or how you set yours. If I haven't shared something here, I would love to hear. So just put some words in the comments. Let me know what you think about the episode, how life is occurring for you, what's working, what's not working. And I will see you in the next episode.